People think butlers are invisible. They're right. We see everything, hear everything, and remember everything. The irony is rich. I spent 15 years eliminating threats for Israel's Mossad, and now I'm polishing silver for Boston's elite. My name is Adam Cohen, though everyone here calls me Avi. I'm 42, speak 6 languages fluently, and can disable a man in 12 different ways using only household items. Right now, I'm arranging orchids in the Grantham family's marble foyer. Avi, could you bring coffee to the study? My wife Elise's voice carries that particular chill I've grown accustomed to over the past year. She's 36, beautiful in that sharp-edged way that photographs well for corporate headshots. As Charles Grantham's PR director, she's made herself indispensable to our employer. Too indispensable, if you ask me. Of course, Mrs. Cohen, I reply, maintaining the professional distance she seems to prefer these days. Strange how a woman can share your bed for 3 years and still feel like a stranger. The Grantham estate sits on 12 acres in Newton, Massachusetts. Charles made his billions in tech security, the kind of irony that would be funny if it weren't so tragic. The man who protects corporate America's data can't see the betrayal happening under his own roof. I prepare the coffee service with mechanical precision. Ethiopian beans, ground fresh, served at exactly 160 degrees. Details matter in my line of work. Both lines of work, actually. Through the kitchen window, I watch Gary Prescott's silver Porsche purr up the circular drive. Gary serves as Grantham's CFO, a position that apparently requires frequent evening meetings with my wife. He's 42 like me, but soft where I'm hard, entitled where I'm grateful. His handshake feels like grabbing a limp fish, and he wears cologne that's worth more than most people's rent. Not even Mossad training prepares you for New England corporate politics, I mutter, arranging cups on the sterling silver tray. The study door is slightly ajar when I arrive. Professional habit makes me pause, listen. Elise's laugh tinkles like breaking crystal. Charles is in New York until Thursday, she's saying. We'll have the house to ourselves. What about your husband? Gary's voice carries that nasal Boston Brahmin accent that screams private school and trust funds. Avi? Another laugh, colder this time. He's just the help, Gary. He doesn't matter. I set the tray down harder than necessary. The cups rattle against their saucers like chattering teeth. Your coffee, sir, ma'am. I keep my voice level, professional. Elise doesn't even look up from Gary's laptop screen. Thank you, Avi. That will be all. Dismissed. Like a servant. Like I'm invisible. I retreat to the kitchen, but my mind stays in that study. 3 years of marriage, and I'm just the help. The woman I pulled from a burning car in Tel Aviv. The woman I nursed back to health. The woman I followed to America. She thinks I don't matter. The house phone rings at 9:15 p.m., sharp and insistent. I answer on the second ring. Grantham residence. Listen carefully, Butler boy. The voice is electronically distorted, threatening. We have the girl. $3 million, unmarked bills, or daddy's little princess comes home in pieces. Jennifer? 48 hours. We'll call back with drop instructions. No police, no FBI, no heroes. Just money. I stand there, receiver in hand, processing. Jennifer Grantham is 19, rebellious but smart, studying art history at Boston University. She's the only member of this family who treats me like a human being. I find Elise and Gary in the study, still hunched over financial spreadsheets. When I deliver the news, Gary goes pale. Elise's reaction is more interesting, a flash of something that looks almost like relief before concern masks her features. We need to call the police, Gary stammers. No. Elise's voice is firm. They said no police. We can't risk Jennifer's life. Charles is in meetings until midnight, I say. Should I try to reach him? I'll handle Charles. Elise is already reaching for her phone. Gary, can you arrange the money transfer? $3 million is a lot of liquid cash, Gary says. I'll need to move some investments around. I watch them take charge, noting how smoothly they slip into crisis management mode. Too smoothly, like they've rehearsed this conversation. Sir, I address Gary directly, perhaps I should contact our security firm? They have experience with kidnapping situations. No, Elise snaps. We handle this ourselves. Avi, I need you to prepare the guest rooms. Charles will want the whole family here. Dismissed again. I nod and withdraw, but something feels wrong. In 15 years of intelligence work, you develop instincts about deception. Right now, those instincts are screaming. I spend the next hour preparing rooms and thinking. The timing bothers me. Jennifer kidnapped the same evening Charles leaves town, when Gary and Elise happen to be working late, reviewing financial documents. Coincidence? In my experience, there's no such thing. Around 11 p.m., I'm polishing glasses in the butler's pantry when I hear Elise's heels clicking across the marble foyer. She's leaving, which is odd. Her purse sits on the kitchen counter, forgotten in her haste. Professional curiosity wins over marital trust. I open the purse. Inside, beneath the usual female debris, I find a second phone, a burner. The screen shows one unread message. After tonight, we're free. G. My hands shake as I photograph the message and return the phone. 3 years of marriage, and my wife carries a secret phone with messages from her lover about being free. Free from what? From Charles Grantham's employment? From her marriage to me? Or free from Jennifer Grantham, the only witness to whatever they're planning? I close the purse and step back, mind racing. In the Mossad, we had a saying, when everyone's lying, follow the money. $3 million is a lot of freedom. Enough to start over somewhere new, somewhere far from Boston and inconvenient husbands who know too much. The front door opens. Elise returns, slightly breathless, checking her watch. Avi? Are you still up? Just finishing the evening duties, ma'am. I emerge from the pantry, dish towel in hand. Any word from Mr. Grantham? He's devastated, naturally. Flying back first thing tomorrow. She retrieves her purse without checking the contents. I'm going to bed. It's been a long day. She climbs the stairs without another word. I listen to her footsteps overhead, the sound of our bedroom door closing. Our bedroom, though I haven't slept there in 2 months. These days, I use the small apartment above the garage, more appropriate for the help. I pour myself 3 fingers of Grantham's good whiskey and sit in the kitchen, thinking. Jennifer Grantham is 19 years old, kidnapped, possibly by people she trusts. Her father is 300 miles away. The police haven't been called. And my wife is planning some kind of freedom with her lover. In Tel Aviv, this would be straightforward. Identify the targets, neutralize the threat, extract the asset. But this isn't Tel Aviv, and I'm not that man anymore. I'm just a butler who happens to know how to eliminate people. I finish the whiskey and make a decision. Charles Grantham pays me to take care of his household. Jennifer is part of that household, which makes her my responsibility. Tomorrow, I start hunting. Tonight, I plan. After all, people think butlers are invisible. They have no idea how dangerous invisible can be. The next morning arrives gray and drizzling, typical Boston autumn weather that matches my mood perfectly. Charles Grantham's private jet touches down at Logan Airport at 7 a.m. By 8, he's pacing the study like a caged animal, demanding answers nobody wants to give. 48 hours, he keeps repeating. They said 48 hours. Charles is 58, silver-haired, with the kind of lean build that comes from expensive personal trainers and organic meal delivery services. He built his fortune on paranoia, corporate security systems, encrypted communications, digital fortress construction. The irony that his own daughter was taken from under his nose isn't lost on anyone. The money's ready, Gary announces, laptop balanced on his knees. I liquidated the Cayman account and moved everything to the Boston First National. $3 million in unmarked hundreds, just like they specified. I serve breakfast, Steel-cut oats for Charles, who's too nervous to eat, coffee and croissants for Gary, who stress eats when anxious. Elise picks at Greek yogurt and checks her phone constantly. Still no word from the kidnappers, she reports. Maybe we should reconsider calling the FBI. No. Charles's voice is final. We follow their instructions exactly. I won't risk Jennifer's life. I refill coffee cups and listen, cataloging details. Gary's too comfortable with moving large sums of money quickly. Elise keeps checking the same phone, not the burner from last night, but her regular iPhone. And Charles, despite his billions and security expertise, seems genuinely helpless. Sir, I address Charles directly, if I may suggest, perhaps we should review the house security footage? The kidnappers might have surveilled the property before taking Miss Jennifer. Good thinking, Avi. Charles leads us to his home office, where multiple monitors display feeds from 24 security cameras. Show me Tuesday night through Wednesday morning. I work the controls, scanning footage. Jennifer's red BMW leaves the property at 6 p.m. Tuesday, her usual time for evening classes. The cameras show her returning around 10:30, parking in her usual spot near the garden entrance. Then nothing until Wednesday morning when her absence was discovered. There, Elise points at the screen, 11:15 p.m., that shadow by the garden gate. I enhance the image. A figure in dark clothing moves near Jennifer's car, but the angle and lighting make identification impossible. Professional job, Gary observes. They knew exactly where the blind spots were. Too professional, too convenient. I make mental notes about camera angles and timing, while Charles obsesses over the grainy footage. I should have installed more cameras, he mutters. Better lighting, motion sensors, thermal imaging. Dad always thinks more security is the answer, Jennifer's voice echoes in my memory from last week. He can't protect the whole world, but he keeps trying. Smart girl. Smarter than her father realizes, probably smart enough to leave clues if she had the chance. Mr. Grantham, I say carefully, perhaps I should check Miss Jennifer's room. She might have mentioned something about her plans, or someone who was bothering her. Yes, do that. Charles waves me away absently, still staring at the monitors. Jennifer's room occupies the entire third floor: bedroom, sitting area, private bathroom, and a small art studio where she works on her paintings. It's organized chaos, textbooks scattered across the desk, clothes draped over chairs, canvases propped against every available wall. I search methodically, looking for anything the police would miss. Jennifer's laptop is gone, taken by the kidnappers, probably. Her phone charger sits on the nightstand, but no phone. Normal for a kidnapping. What's not normal is the small canvas hidden behind her easel. It's a portrait of Gary Prescott, but not flattering. She's painted him with exaggerated features: weak chin, small eyes, grasping hands. The title, written in her neat script across the bottom, reads "The Parasite." Interesting. Jennifer saw through Gary's charm, recognized him for what he really is. Smart girl indeed. I photograph the painting with my phone and continue searching. In her desk drawer, I find a journal. Most entries are typical college student material: complaints about professors, excitement about art projects, frustration with her father's overprotectiveness. But the last entry, dated Tuesday morning, is different. Something weird is going on with Dad's money people. Heard Elise and Gary arguing about timeline and too risky yesterday. Gary looked scared. Elise looked excited. Bad combination. Maybe I should talk to Dad about getting new financial advisors. Or maybe I should talk to Avi. He sees everything, and he's the only one around here who doesn't want anything from Dad. I photograph the journal entry and replace everything exactly as I found it. Jennifer trusted me enough to consider confiding in me. That trust is now my responsibility. Downstairs, the atmosphere has grown more tense. Detective Sal Russo from Newton PD has arrived, despite the family's reluctance to involve police. He's a thick-set man in his 50s, with gray hair and skeptical eyes that have seen too much. Mr. Grantham called us, he explains, when Charles protests. Said his daughter was missing. We have to investigate missing persons reports, especially involving minors. She's 19, Gary interjects. Hardly a minor. Still my jurisdiction, Russo replies calmly. Now, when did you last see Jennifer? I serve coffee and listen as Charles explains about the Tuesday evening disappearance and Wednesday morning ransom call. Russo takes notes, asks pointed questions about Jennifer's friends, habits, possible enemies. Any family disputes? Money problems? Romantic troubles? Nothing like that, Charles insists. Jennifer's a good kid. Studies hard, stays out of trouble. What about employees? Russo's gaze sweeps the room. Anyone with access to the house, knowledge of family routines? The question hangs in the air like smoke. I feel 3 pairs of eyes evaluating me, the foreign ex-soldier who knows too much about the family's business. Avi's been with us for 2 years, Elise says smoothly. Impeccable references, complete background check. Charles trusts him completely. I'll need to interview all household staff separately, Russo announces. Standard procedure. An hour later, I sit across from Detective Russo in the morning room, answering questions about my background, my relationship with the family, my whereabouts, Tuesday night. Israel Defense Forces, then private security work, he reads from his notes. That's quite a career change, becoming a butler. I wanted a quieter life, I reply truthfully. Less violence, more stability. Your wife works here too. That create any conflicts of interest? Elise handles public relations. I manage the household. Our professional responsibilities don't overlap. Russo studies me with cop eyes that have learned to spot deception. You seem pretty calm for someone whose employer's daughter has been kidnapped. Panic doesn't help anyone, Detective. Mr. Grantham needs his household to function normally during this crisis. Right. He closes his notebook. Don't leave town, Mr. Cohen. We'll have more questions. After Russo leaves, the house settles into anxious waiting. Charles paces between his office and the study. Gary works his laptop, moving money and making calls. Elise coordinates with her PR team, preparing damage control statements in case the story leaks to the media. I use the afternoon to run errands, groceries, dry cleaning, the mundane tasks that keep wealthy households functioning. But I also make a stop at an internet cafe in Cambridge, where I use cash and fake identification to access databases that most people don't know exist. Gary Prescott's financial history makes interesting reading. 3 previous jobs, all ending under mysterious circumstances. Never charged with anything, but patterns emerge, missing money, unexplained transfers, convenient resignations just before audits. He's careful, I'll give him that. But not careful enough. Elise's background is cleaner, but that might be because she's better at covering tracks. Her previous employers describe her as ambitious, results-oriented, and willing to do whatever it takes. In the corporate world, those are compliments. In kidnapping conspiracies, they're warning signs. I return to the house as evening falls. The second ransom call comes at exactly 9 p.m. You have the money? Same electronically distorted voice. Yes, Charles replies. Speakerphone activated so we can all hear. 3 million unmarked bills, just like you specified. Good. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m., Revere Beach parking lot near the pavilion. Come alone, bring the money in a single duffel bag. No police, no tricks, no heroes. How do I know Jennifer's safe? A pause, then Jennifer's voice, shaky but recognizable. Dad? I'm okay. They haven't hurt me. Just do what they say, please. Charles slumps in his chair like a deflated balloon. At least we know she's alive, Elise says softly. For now, Gary adds helpfully. I excuse myself and retreat to my apartment above the garage. Time to make preparations. Tomorrow night, someone's getting their money. But it might not be the kidnappers. After all, I promised Jennifer I'd have her home for dinner, and I always keep my promises. The next day crawls by with the speed of continental drift. Charles barely eats. Gary makes nervous phone calls about liquidity issues, and Elise maintains her professional composure while checking her phones obsessively. I perform my duties with mechanical precision, but my mind is elsewhere, planning. At 3 p.m., I volunteer to pick up the ransom money from Boston First National. Charles agrees readily. He trusts me completely, which makes his wife's betrayal even more bitter. The bank manager, a nervous man named Whitfield, escorts me to a private counting room where $3 million in $100 bills waits in neat stacks. It's surprisingly compact. Dirty money always is. Whitfield watches as I pack the cash into a duffel. 66 pounds, manageable. I sign, load it into Charles's Mercedes, then stop at a storage unit. Old habits, swap half for newspaper stacks. If it goes wrong, Charles loses less. If right, I keep capital. Back home, Detective Russo questions staff. Both seem clean. Your wife's calm, he notes. She's not family, I reply. Calm ones hide the most. Later I find Gary in the study, stress eating. Nervous? Terrified. What if they don't release her? Charles paid. They'll release her, I remind him how much access he has to family finances. He bristles. At 8, Charles readies for the ransom drop. Elise wants to join. Gary suggests I drive. Charles agrees. We take his BMW to Revere Beach. Empty, cold. At 10 sharp, a black SUV arrives. Charles walks over, sets the bag down, retreats. A figure takes it. Your daughter will be released within the hour, the voice says. SUV disappears. Charles looks broken. Now we wait. But I'm tracking the SUV with a hidden GPS. It stops near a South Boston warehouse, isolated, perfect for a double cross. We return. Elise calls her media contacts. Gary pours whiskey. I watch the GPS. How long do we wait? Gary asks. They said an hour, Charles replies. It's been 30 minutes. I excuse myself to check the house perimeter, but really I'm accessing the GPS tracker from my phone. The signal hasn't moved. Either the kidnappers are very patient, or something's gone wrong with their timeline. At 11:30, Charles's phone rings again. There's been a complication, the distorted voice announces. The girl tried to escape. She's been disciplined. Charles goes white. What does that mean? Is she hurt? She'll live. But the price just went up. Another $1 million, same location, tomorrow night. You got your money, Charles shouts. We had a deal. Deals change. Your daughter should have stayed quiet. Charles stares at his phone in horror while Gary and Elise exchange glances that last a fraction too long. Bastards, Gary mutters. They're bleeding you dry, Charles. We have to pay, Elise insists. Jennifer's life is worth more than money. Another $1 million might be difficult to arrange quickly, Gary says. I'll need to liquidate more assets, maybe borrow against the company. I watch this performance with professional interest. Gary's reluctance sounds genuine, but he's the one who arranged the first $3 million so efficiently. Elise's concern appears maternal, but she's not Jennifer's mother and has never shown particular affection for the girl. There might be another option, I say quietly. 3 faces turn toward me. Sir, with respect, these people are professionals. They've studied your family, your finances, your routines. They know exactly how much you're worth and how much you'll pay. Your point? Charles asks. My point is that paying them won't stop this. They'll keep raising the price until you're bankrupt or finished. Jennifer will never be safe as long as they're out there. What are you suggesting? Elise's voice carries a warning edge. I'm suggesting we find them first. Gary laughs nervously. You're a butler, Avi, not a detective. Leave the police work to professionals. Detective Russo seems overwhelmed, I reply calmly. Perhaps someone with different skills might be more effective. Charles studies me with new interest. What kind of skills? The kind that aren't discussed in polite company, sir. A long silence stretches between us. Finally, Charles nods slowly. Find my daughter, Avi. Whatever it takes, whoever you used to be, find her. Sir, I'll need complete access to all financial records, security systems, and personnel files. If there's a leak in your organization, I'll find it. Done. Elise and Gary exchange another look, this one definitely worried. Charles, Elise says carefully, maybe we should think about this. Avi's not trained for this kind of work. Actually, I reply, meeting her eyes directly, I am. The truth hangs in the air like a blade. For the first time since this began, my wife looks genuinely afraid. Good. She should be. After all, she has no idea what I'm capable of when someone I care about is in danger. And Jennifer Grantham, the only person in this house who treats me like a human being, is very much in danger. Time to stop being invisible. Time to start being dangerous. I spend the night in Charles's office, reviewing 3 years of financial records with the methodical patience that Mossad training instilled in me. Numbers tell stories if you know how to read them, and Gary Prescott's story is fascinating. Small discrepancies at first, expense reports that don't quite match receipts, travel costs that seem inflated, consulting fees paid to companies that exist only on paper. Nothing dramatic enough to trigger audits, but consistent enough to establish a pattern. Gary's been skimming from Charles for months, building a nest egg for his future with my wife. At dawn, I prepare Charles's breakfast and deliver it with a complete financial analysis. Gary's been stealing from you, I announce without preamble. Roughly $50,000 over the past year, laundered through fake consulting contracts and inflated expenses. Charles stares at the evidence I've compiled: bank transfers, forged invoices, shell company registrations. His face cycles through disbelief, anger, and finally cold fury. That son of a bastard. I trusted him with everything. There's more, sir. The timing of these thefts corresponds exactly with Elise's promotion to PR director. They've been planning this partnership for months. Elise is involved. I show him photographs of the burner phone messages, Gary's romantic texts, financial records that prove coordination between their activities. I'm sorry, sir, but yes, she's involved. Deeply. Charles slumps in his chair, looking every one of his 58 years. My daughter's kidnapped, my CFO's a thief, and your wife is… What exactly is your wife? A woman who thinks I don't matter, I reply honestly. She's about to learn otherwise. At 8 a.m., Gary arrives for work as usual, briefcase in hand, confident smile in place. He finds Charles and me waiting in the study, financial records spread across the mahogany table like evidence at a trial. Good morning, Gary begins cheerfully. Any word about… Sit down, Charles interrupts. His voice could freeze nitrogen. Gary's smile falters as he notices the papers, recognizes bank statements and transfer records. His face goes pale, then red, then pale again. Charles, I can explain… Explain what? How you've been stealing from me for a year? How you've been sleeping with my employee's wife? How you happened to be working late the night my daughter was kidnapped? You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Charles stands, towering over the seated man. You and Elise planned this whole thing, the kidnapping, the ransom, probably my daughter's murder once you had the money. No! Gary jumps up, knocking over his chair. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Jennifer wasn't supposed to be home that night. The confession hangs in the air like a smoking gun. Gary realizes what he's just admitted and tries to backtrack. I mean, we never intended… It was just supposed to be financial, moving some money around. Shut up, I say quietly. Every word you speak makes this worse for you. Gary turns to me with desperate eyes. Avi, you have to believe me. We never meant for Jennifer to get hurt. This whole thing got out of control. Where is she? I don't know. The people we hired, they went off script. They were supposed to fake the kidnapping, make it look real, then disappear with the money. But when Jennifer came home early, they panicked and actually took her. Charles's face turns purple with rage. You hired kidnappers to steal from me, and they accidentally kidnapped my daughter? We can fix this, Gary babbles. We can get her back, make everything right. The money doesn't matter, Charles. I'll return every penny. You'll return it from prison, Charles snarls, reaching for the phone to call Detective Russo. Wait. I place a hand on Charles's arm. Let me handle this my way first. Your way? Gary's going to tell us exactly where Jennifer is being held, who he hired, and how we can get her back safely. Aren't you, Gary? Gary looks between Charles's fury and my calm certainty, weighing his options. And if I cooperate? Then you might live through this, I reply honestly. For the next hour, Gary spills everything. The kidnapping was Elise's idea, a fake crime designed to steal $3 million from Charles while providing perfect alibis for both conspirators. They hired 3 men through criminal contacts Gary had made during his previous embezzlement schemes, professionals who specialized in insurance fraud and staged crimes. Their names, I demand. Tommy Kowalski, Eddie Brennan, and someone called Rico. I only met Tommy directly. He arranged everything else. Where's Jennifer? Warehouse in South Boston, near the fish pier. Tommy said it was perfect, isolated, soundproof, multiple escape routes. And Elise's role? Gary's voice drops to a whisper. She was supposed to seduce you, keep you distracted and compliant. When that didn't work, she decided you were expendable. After we got the money, there would have been an accident. A break-in gone wrong, maybe. Or a car crash. Charles makes a sound like a wounded animal. I feel something cold and hard settle in my chest. The old Mossad mindset clicking into place like a loaded weapon. One more question, Gary. When were you planning to end my life? Tonight, he whispers. After the second ransom payment. Elise said it had to look natural, unconnected to Jennifer's kidnapping. I nod calmly, as if he'd just told me the weather forecast. Thank you for your honesty. Then I hit him. Not hard enough to cause permanent damage, but hard enough to drop him unconscious to the Persian rug. Charles stares at Gary's motionless form. Is he gone? Unfortunately, no. But he'll have a headache for days. I check Gary's pulse, ensure he's breathing normally. Sir, I need you to call Detective Russo. Tell him Gary confessed to embezzlement and provided information about Jennifer's location. Don't mention my involvement or what I'm about to do. What are you about to do? Get your daughter back. I leave Charles to deal with Gary and the police while I prepare for war. In my apartment above the garage, I open a locked case that contains items no butler should possess. Tactical gear, communication equipment, and tools designed for violence. I don't pack weapons. Weapons can be traced, create legal complications, turn rescue operations into murder charges. Instead, I pack knowledge, experience, and the absolute certainty that whoever took Jennifer Grantham has made the last mistake of their criminal careers. My phone buzzes with a text from Elise. Where are you? We need to talk. I text back. Running errands. Home soon. Let her think I'm still invisible, still irrelevant. In 3 hours, she'll learn how wrong she's been about both assumptions. After all, the best part about being underestimated is the look on people's faces when they realize their mistake. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing that look on my wife's face. The warehouse district of South Boston at sunset looks like a movie set for urban decay. Abandoned buildings, broken windows, streets that haven't seen municipal attention since the Clinton administration. Perfect place for a kidnapping, if you're the kind of person who thinks kidnapping is a reasonable career choice. I park 3 blocks away and approach on foot, using skills that feel rusty but familiar. 15 years of Mossad training doesn't disappear just because you spend 2 years polishing silver and arranging flowers. The GPS tracker leads me to a red brick warehouse near the fish pier, exactly where Gary said it would be. 3 cars parked outside. A black SUV I recognize from last night's ransom drop, plus 2 older sedans that scream criminal transportation. Amateurs always use too many vehicles. I circle the building, noting exits, windows, security measures. The kidnappers have chosen well. Isolated location, thick walls, minimal street lighting. Unfortunately for them, they're dealing with someone who's breached terrorist safe houses in Beirut and Gaza. This warehouse might as well have a welcome mat. Through a grimy second-floor window, I spot Jennifer. She's tied to a chair in what used to be an office, guarded by a single man who's more interested in his smartphone than his prisoner. Jennifer appears unharmed but frightened, which is exactly what I hoped to find. 3 men total, based on the vehicles and Gary's information. Tommy Kowalski, Eddie Brennan, and Rico. I observe for 30 minutes, learning their patterns, identifying weaknesses. Tommy's the leader. Older, more professional, carries himself like someone who's done this before. He checks on Jennifer every hour, maintains discipline among his crew. Eddie's the muscle, big, stupid, relies on intimidation rather than intelligence. Rico's the tech guy, handles phones, manages electronic communication, probably arranged the voice distortion for the ransom calls. At 9 p.m., I make my move. Rico goes down first. Not literally. I'm not that person anymore, just a butler who happens to know 17 ways to knock someone out without leaving any lasting harm. He's smoking outside the building when I approach from behind, applying a sleeper hold that takes him down in 15 seconds. I drag his limp body into the shadows and take his phone. Eddie's next. He's in the main warehouse area, eating Chinese takeout and watching television on a portable screen. I enter through a loading dock window, moving with the silence that kept me alive in Ramallah and Damascus. Eddie never sees me coming. One moment he's laughing at a sitcom. The next he's dreaming about whatever people like Eddie dream about. Tommy's the challenge. He's experienced enough to notice when his crew goes quiet, smart enough to use Jennifer as a human shield when I finally reveal myself. "You must be the butler," he says calmly, pressing a pistol to Jennifer's temple. "Gary said you might be a problem." Gary says a lot of things. Most of them are lies. Jennifer's eyes meet mine across the dusty office space. She's scared but alert, ready to move if I create an opportunity. "Here's how this works," Tommy continues. "You're going to walk away, forget you saw anything, and let us finish our business. In exchange, the girl lives." "Counteroffer," I reply, stepping closer. "You release Jennifer immediately, and I don't break every bone in your body." Tommy laughs. "You think I'm afraid of some foreign butler? I've been doing this since you were polishing boots in whatever third world army you came from." "Israeli Defense Forces," I correct. "And I wasn't polishing boots." Something in my voice makes Tommy reassess the situation. His gun hand tightens on the pistol. "Stay back," he warns. "I'll hurt her." "No, you won't. Because if you hurt her, you lose your only leverage. And without leverage, you're just another small-time criminal about to have a very bad night." I keep talking, keep moving closer, watching Tommy's eyes for the telltale signs of panic that make people do stupid things. "Besides," I continue conversationally, "Gary's already confessed everything to the police. Detective Russo knows your names, knows this location, knows about the fake kidnapping that became a real kidnapping. You're already finished, Tommy. The only question is whether you make it worse for yourself." Tommy's face cycles through disbelief, anger, and dawning fear. Gary's a coward who sold you out the moment we applied pressure. Right now, he's probably negotiating a plea deal while you're standing here threatening to murder the daughter of one of Boston's wealthiest men. The gun wavers slightly. Tommy's calculating odds, realizing that his perfect plan has become a perfect disaster. "But I'm not unreasonable," I add. Walk away now, disappear, and maybe you avoid a murder charge. Stay here, and I guarantee you'll regret it. You're bluffing. Am I? I move then, faster than Tommy expects from a middle-aged butler. The gun goes flying as I break his wrist with one hand and drive my elbow into his solar plexus with the other. He drops like a sack of cement, gasping for air that won't come. Jennifer stares at me with wide eyes as I untie her restraints. Are you hurt? I ask. No, just scared. Avi, how did you… Long story. Right now, we need to leave before these idiots wake up. I use Tommy's phone to call Detective Russo, reporting the warehouse location and the condition of 3 unconscious kidnappers. Then I destroy the phone and escort Jennifer to safety. Your father's very worried about you, I tell her as we drive back toward Newton. I knew someone would come, she replies quietly. I just didn't expect it to be you. Why not? Because you're always so… calm, professional. I never imagined you could be dangerous. I glance at her in the rearview mirror. People see what they expect to see, Miss Jennifer. Most of the time, that works in my favor. What about Elise? Does she know what you can do? She's about to find out. We arrive at the Grantham estate to find police cars in the driveway and Detective Russo interviewing Charles in the study. Gary sits in handcuffs, looking like a man whose world has collapsed around him. Jennifer… Charles embraces his daughter with tears streaming down his face. Thank God you're safe. Avi saved me, Jennifer announces. He found the warehouse, defeated 3 armed men, and brought me home. Russo studies me with new interest. That's quite a story, Mr. Cohen. Care to elaborate on how a butler managed to accomplish what my entire department couldn't? I got lucky, Detective. Gary provided excellent intelligence about the kidnapper's location and methods. Lucky. Russo doesn't sound convinced, but he's not about to arrest the man who rescued the victim. We'll need a full statement, but that can wait until tomorrow. As the police finish their work and prepare to transport Gary to jail, I notice someone's absence. Where's Elise? I ask Charles. Gone, he replies grimly. Packed a bag and left about an hour ago. Probably realized her plan had fallen apart. But I know Elise better than that. She's not the type to run away from problems. She's the type to eliminate them. And right now, I'm her biggest problem. My phone buzzes with a text. Meet me at our apartment. Time to finish this. E. I show the message to Charles and Detective Russo. Don't go, Charles warns. It's obviously a trap. Of course it's a trap, I agree. But it's also an opportunity to end this permanently. I can provide backup, Russo offers. Arrest her for conspiracy, kidnapping, attempted murder. Thank you, Detective, but this is personal. Some conversations need to happen privately. I leave them arguing about jurisdiction and legal procedures while I drive to the garage apartment that's been my home for the past 2 months. Elise's car sits in the driveway, engine still warm. She's waiting in the living room, perfectly composed despite the collapse of her elaborate scheme. 3 years of marriage, and I'm still impressed by her ability to maintain appearances under pressure. Hello, Avi. Elise. I suppose congratulations are in order. You rescued the girl, captured the kidnappers, exposed Gary's embezzlement. Quite heroic for someone who's just the help. Is that what this is about? Proving I'm not invisible? She laughs, but there's no humor in it. This is about survival, Avi. Mine, specifically. Gary confessed everything. The police know about your involvement, the fake kidnapping, the plan to harm me. Running won't help. I'm not running. She opens her purse and pulls out a small pistol. I'm cleaning up loose ends. You're going to shoot me? In our apartment? That seems poorly planned, even for you. Self-defense, she explains calmly. My husband discovered my affair, became violent, threatened to harm me. I had no choice but to protect myself. Except I'm not violent, Elise. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows the old Avi, the butler who polishes silver and arranges flowers. But tonight you became someone else, someone dangerous, someone who might hurt his unfaithful wife in a fit of rage. She's not wrong. The transformation from butler to soldier has been visible to everyone: Charles, Jennifer, Detective Russo. Creating a narrative where I snapped under pressure wouldn't be difficult. One problem with your story, I point out. What's that? You assume I came here unarmed. Elise's confidence wavers slightly. You don't own a gun. I don't need a gun. I move then, using the same speed and precision that saved Jennifer. The pistol spins away as I disarm my wife with techniques learned in Krav Maga classes that she never knew I attended. She stumbles backward, shocked by the sudden reversal. 3 years of marriage, I say conversationally, and you never bothered to learn who I really am. That seems like poor planning for someone who considers herself intelligent. Avi, please. Please what? Please forgive you for trying to have me harmed? Please ignore the fact that you orchestrated the kidnapping of an innocent girl? Please pretend that our marriage wasn't just a cover for your criminal activities. Elise's composure finally cracks. I never meant for Jennifer to get hurt. It was supposed to be simple: steal some money, disappear, start over somewhere new. With Gary. Yes, with Gary. Because Gary sees me as a partner, an equal. You see me as a beautiful accessory to your quiet life. I see you as the woman I loved enough to follow across an ocean. Apparently, that was my mistake. Police sirens wail in the distance, growing closer. Detective Russo, despite my request for privacy, has decided to provide backup after all. It's over, Elise. Gary's confessed, the kidnappers are captured, Jennifer's safe. Your only choice now is whether you face trial as a cooperative witness or as a co-conspirator. She stares at me with something that might be respect or might be hatred. I underestimated you. Yes, you did. That seems to be a common theme tonight. The police arrive to find Elise sitting quietly in handcuffs that I improvised from kitchen twine, waiting to be arrested. Detective Russo raises an eyebrow at my handiwork. Resourceful, he observes. I have many hidden talents, Detective. As they lead Elise away, she turns back one last time. I did love you, Avi. In my own way. I know, I reply. That's what makes this so tragic. And then she's gone, leaving me alone in the apartment we shared, surrounded by the wreckage of a marriage built on lies and a life built on pretense. Tomorrow, I'll return to the Grantham estate, resume my duties as butler, and try to find some version of the quiet life I came to America seeking. But tonight, I pour myself 3 fingers of good whiskey and toast the end of my invisibility. After all, some masks can only be worn for so long before they become prisons. And I've spent enough time in prison, literal and metaphorical, to last several lifetimes. The butler's game is over. Time to decide who I really want to be.